This video goes over SAT Questions of the Day, Week 7. Number 1 asks about the value of x given this four-sided polygon. To find the interior sum of the angles, we use this formula n minus 2 times 180. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, so we plug in 4 for n, and our interior sum is 360. So we can write this out as 45 plus x plus x plus x equals 360. And when we combine like terms, and subtract, and divide, we get our answer 105. So here x's are s's and t's are y's, and there's a hypothetical coordinate on the graph. Well, here's one actual coordinate on the graph, 3, 6. And if we want to make that into a ratio of t to s, that becomes 6 to 3, or 6 to 3, or 6 to 3, depending on how you want to write it. This is our preferred method. And we can simplify that or reduce it by dividing everything by 3. And it turns out it becomes 2 to 1. C. So for number 3, we are just going to plug in these different values of x and y into the inequality and see which make it true. If we plug in a 5 and a 3, we get 5 minus 3 is 2. Is that less than 4? It sure is. 10 minus 15 is a negative 5. Is that less than 4? It sure is. 15 minus 6 is 9. Is that less than 4? No. So 1 and 2 only, C. Number 4 is an exponential growth problem. So just by looking at the answer choices, we can actually rule out half of them. Because a linear equation will be of the format y equals mx plus b, like C and D. And an exponential equation is going to look more like this. So we know it's either going to be A or B. So the first part of our exponential equation is the starting value, which both correctly have 4 here. And to the power of t represents the years. So the part that matters is the rate of growth. So we start with 100% and we are increasing by 1.9. And if we're going to convert this to a decimal, we're going to move the decimal over to the left twice. And we end up with 1.019. which is choice A. Choice B actually represents a 90% growth rate rather than a 1.9% growth rate, which would be quite alarming for the world's population. Fortunately, it's A. So to interpret number 5, our score is going to be found by taking double the number of correct answers, 2 points each, minus the number of incorrect answers. So you're only subtracting 1 for an incorrect answer, but you're counting 2 every time you get it correct. So we could just guess and check to get to a score of 50 out of 40 questions, where you decide out of those 40 questions how many would go under the correct, how many would go under the incorrect, until we got a score of 50. And it turns out those numbers are 30 correct and 10 incorrect. 30 times 2 gives you 60, minus 10 is 50. If you had tried other divisions of those 40 questions, you would not have gotten 50. So your final answer is 30. If you wanted to set this up very formally, you could have said, let x be the correct answers, then the incorrect would be 40 minus x, the complement. And you could have given a value of 2 times x, and just a minus 1 for this 40 minus x, and distributed and solved for x, and you'd get 30. But guess and check probably works better here. Number 6. What fraction of the area of the circle is the area of the shaded region? Well, 100 degrees is what fraction of a total circle? 360 degrees. If we reduce this, dividing the top and the bottom by 20, the lowest form is 5/18. Number 7 asks about slope. I'm going to choose these 2 points here because they clearly cross specific points, and I don't have to deal with any fractions. So this gives me 0, negative 3, and 5, negative 1. I could certainly use the slope formula here if I wanted to, or if I consider rise over run, I'm going up 2 and over 5. So my slope is just 2/5. Done. Number 8, think about the definition of slope, rise over run. Here that means the change in fat over the change in protein. And they ask you, According to the line of best fit, which of the following is closest to the predicted increase in total fat in grams for every increase of 1 gram in total protein? So they're saying, what's the slope? What goes on top of 1? And a key detail here is the scale. We're counting by tens. So if I pick 2 points on this graph, about here and here, I can see that for every 10 I go over, I'm going up about 15. So 15 divided by 10 gives me my slope, 1.5. C. Number 9 is a converting units problem. So we start with a mass of gold worth $62,400, and we convert dollars into ounces, and we convert ounces into pounds, and then we end up with our final answer in pounds per mass, which is what we want. How many pounds is 1 mass? So I could take 62,400, divide that by 20, divide the result by 6t, and the answer is 195. Number 10 is a percentage problem. If we look at the percentage of subscriptions sold from 2013 relative to 2012, we're going to take this new number, 5880, and divide it by the old number. And we get 1.05. And what that shows is that there's a 5% growth from 2012 to 2013. Then they tell us that the percent increase from 2012 to 2013, that 5%, is going to be double the increase from 2013 to 14. Or in other words, the 2013 to 14 one is going to be half of that previous growth, since the previous growth is double the new one. So that's kind of confusing the way they word that. And what that means is, where before you would have had to multiply by 1.05 for 5% growth, here we multiply by 1.025, and that gives us 6,027. B.